If you're the parent of a teenage girl with FND or functional neurological disorder, and you have probably noticed a pattern that nobody warned you about, like this. Things are going okay. She is making amazing progress, and then bam, her period comes, or just before the week before, and it is like the floor drops out. The shaking is back, the weakness is back, the brain fog is back. All of those symptoms are back, and then having this major flare. So if you are standing there thinking, my gosh, what just happened? Did we lose all the ground we gained, or what is going on here? Then you take her to the doctor and ask why this keeps happening. But what you get is either a simple shrug or it's just hormones, generic statement. So you walk off the appointment with no real answer and have no idea what to do. This is exactly why I made this video. I am Dr. Lee, a licensed clinical psychologist with specialty in pediatric health psychology and the founder of Teen FND Academy, an online coaching program to help teens with FND and their families get their life back. What you're watching in your daughter's situation is not random. It is not a setback. You're definitely not alone in this, okay? And it is not just hormone as if that explains everything. There is a specific biological chain reaction happening inside your daughter's brain and nervous system during that window and then the time of the month. So today I am going to show you what's happening with your daughter's flare-ups during the time of the month using both science and research of what we know so far. And I am going to tell you exactly what you can do about it. So let's dive in. Before I get into the research, I want to say something that I say to every single family I work with. Unfortunately, the direct research on hormones and FND in teenage girl is very limited. I mean, to my knowledge, there is none, okay? I mean, scientists have not yet run large studies or any meaningful studies that followed FND teens across their menstrual cycles and measure what happens. So they're far behind in this area. So what I have found are studies on two separate but related things. One is how hormonal changes affect the nervous system in teenage girls and how the brain chemistry disruption worsens FND symptoms. So I'm going to share what each study actually found, and then I'm going to tell you what we know from general physiology neuroscience that connects these two things. So let's start with what we know about FND so far. FND or functional neurological disorder is a problem with how the brain sends and receives signals with each other. The brain itself is not damaged physically, but the brain networks are not working the way they should. So research shows that the FND brain has too much activity in the part of the brain that detects danger and not enough activity in the part of the brain that calms that danger response down, in a super simple term. Put it another way, the FND brain is already on high alert and it is more sensitive to so many different things, so it has a harder time calming down when things get hard. So keep that in mind as we go through that research, all right? The first study I want to share is a 2019 peer-reviewed paper published in Frontiers in Neuroscience. This study looked at how hormonal changes during puberty affect the autonomic nervous system in teenage girls. You may know this already, but the autonomic nervous system is part of your nervous system that controls things your body does on its own, like heart rate, blood pressure, and breathing, and things like that. So here is what the researchers actually found in this study. An estrogen rises during puberty, then what happens is the blood vessels relax and the blood pressure becomes less stable. And as the progesterone level also changes, the nervous system loses some of this ability to stay steady, okay? So between these two hormones, these hormonal changes make the autonomic nervous system significantly less stable in adolescents female compared to males the same age. So here's the deal. The study focused on conditions like POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and fainting. It did not study FND directly. Unfortunately, we're not that popular in research just yet, okay? But the mechanism this study describes is hormonal shifts making the autonomic nervous system less stable is directly relevant to any teen whose nervous system is already struggling to regulate in the first place. And many teens I work with not only only struggle with FND, but also constant dizziness, fainting, and or POTS. So I found this article very interesting and relevant. Here is where I am connecting research to general physiology. The hormonal shift this study describes during the puberty do not actually stop after puberty begins. The pattern continues monthly across the menstrual cycle. What does that mean? The estrogen and progesterone rise and fall every month. So what that means is the same autonomic nervous system instability that researchers found during puberty is likely happening on a monthly cycle as well. That is not from this study specifically, but that is what we know about how these hormones work. So for a teen with FND whose nervous system is already dysregulated, that monthly hormonal wave is like additional stress on a system that is already working overtime, like really hard. The Family Guy shares a handful of practical strategies to help you get out of this survival mode, and it shows why our structured approach gets such a strong result. Grab it from the description below. It is free. The second study I want to share is a 2021 review published in Frontiers in Cell and Developmental Biology. This study looked at how emotional stress affects FND through brain chemicals called monoamine neuromodulators. We're covering a lot of biology here, so bear with me. These are monoamine neuromodulators. They are chemicals in the brain, specifically serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine in this study. They help regulate mood, stress response, and how the brain interprets physical sensations in the body. So here is what the researchers actually found in this study. When a person with FND experiences emotional stress, it triggers a disruption in these brain chemicals, and that disruption then worsens FND symptoms. The study is about stress and emotion as triggers, so it does not study the menstrual cycle or hormones directly, just so you know. So here is what I'm again connecting research to general physiology. We know from neuroscience that serotonin and dopamine levels naturally drop and shift in the days before a period. That window is called the luteal phase. So for most people, that drop creates mood changes, irritability, and physical discomfort, kind of typically known thing. For a brain that already has a harder time managing this monoamine disruption the way an FND brain does, based on what these researchers found, that natural premenstrual drop can function as a trigger in the same way that emotional stress does. So your child may or may not be super stressed during the time, but physiologically that acts as the way to trigger these symptoms. So again, no single study has directly tested this in FND teens, unfortunately, but the mechanism itself is pretty consistent across what we know about FND, brain chemistry, and the menstrual cycle. And unfortunately, this is how we need to connect these dots. So let's put these pieces together. One study tells us the hormonal shifts make the autonomic nervous system less stable in teenage girls, right? Make it a little bit sluggish. A separate study tells us the disruption in brain chemicals worsen FND symptoms. And then the general neuroscience tells us the luteal phase produces both of these patterns every single month. And that is why your daughter may be getting worse before her period or during that time. So it is not necessarily a setback. It is more about a biology meeting a nervous system that is already working harder than it should have to. And this is also what I see in my work all the time. Families are often blindsided by these windows, not because anything went wrong in the recovery, but because no one has told them this pattern was coming and what to do about it. Once again, no one is really following the teenage girls with FND and menstrual cycle, so we're just putting these pieces together. So let's talk about what you can do right now. Here are 3 things you can do to support your daughter during this premenstrual window. The number 1 thing is to use the nervous system regulation strategies and tools earlier, not after the flare starts. Now, recovery from FND is all about being proactive, not reactive, as I talk about this all the time, like 1,000 times on my channel. And most families wait until symptoms are already bad before reaching for regulation strategies. Like, oh my gosh, we're having forest fire. What do we do to put out the fire? During this window, I want you to actually flip that. And if you can flip that on a regular basis, it's even better. So start using calming tools a few days before that window hits. Whatever nervous system regulation practices are already part of your daughter's routine, increase that frequency and start them proactively. So this is, again, building a habit of being proactive, and this is a time of the month that they can do a little bit more. So you are not waiting for the storm. You are preparing the nervous system before it arrives, aka being proactive. The second thing is to protect sleep during this window above anything else. Let me tell you, sleep is when the nervous system repairs itself. This is super important. During the luteal phase, sleep quality often drops naturally because of the hormonal shifts, right? So it's already hard. So for an FND nervous system that is already working harder than usual, poor sleep during this window removes one of the most important buffers your daughter has, right? This is not the time for late night outings or pushing through fatigue. Again, be flexible, but as much as possible, make the sleep the priority. If you want to see how my full program of Teen FND Academy works and how it's helping families resolve FND for real, then watch the video linked in the description box below. The third thing is to change the language you use when this window hits. This is specifically for parents because this one matters the most parents expect. And this is exactly what I teach in my program all the time. When your daughter's symptoms flare before her period, the words you use in that moment actually shape how her nervous system interprets what is happening inside of her body. So if she hears something like this, why is she struggling again? Or what went wrong? Or I thought she was getting better. Any of these things, her brain registers that as confirmation that something is wrong in her body. That interpretation activates, guess what? More threat response, and that makes the flare worse, even though that is not what you want. So instead, try this. Her body is moving through a harder window right now. This is predictable. This is biology. This is not a setback. Any of these things or all of them. That shift in language does two things. Number one, it reduces the threat signal her brain is receiving from her environment, aka you. And it teaches her nervous system that hard windows are temporary and expected. It is not a sign of failure. Now, your daughter is not going backwards. Her body is moving through a harder window. And now you know what to do with that in 1, 2, 3 steps. Now, if you want to go deeper on how to support your teen's nervous system recovery through a well-informed approach like this, everything I do at Teen FND Academy is built around exactly this kind of work, so you are not doing the guesswork anymore. The link is in the description box below to know more about my program. Now, if this video helped you, share it with others who need to hear this, because this is the kind of information that shouldn't be hard to find. So I'll do my best to keep sharing this discovery, science, research study, and the true story. I'll see you in the next video.